Hello, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to come on and just touch base with you guys to what's been going on with me and where we are in our process. Just finished sizing on yesterday, and so a couple of days before that I did call Dr. Garza's office. I spoke with the nurse and she said I'm to go on my day 2 of my cycle. I should start my period around November 30th. I'm not too sure if I will because my period is always late, y'all. That's just happened since my last in vitro. As I told y'all before, I've called the office. We're waiting for a day 2 cycle. So I said, how much do I take in to be prepared? Because y'all know I'm big about telling y'all about money, because most of us looking at these options, we're on a budget, or we're not only on a budget, but we need to prepare and have those finances ahead of time. So I asked, and what she told me is that I needed to take $800, which kind of floored me because my very first visit when I started IVF, I believe it was in April, $398 was my first visit in April of this year. So I'm wondering why the heck I need $800 now. And then I said, well, how much is it in pesos? Because remember, y'all, make sure in pesos versus dollars, right? So I asked and she says 16,000 pesos. That's just ridiculous. I'm just saying, I'll do the math and I'll put it up here when I figure out what the amounts were versus the other dollar versus pesos like I usually do. I am going to take the $800, but I'm going to question the heck out of where and what each thing costs. I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I also wanted to touch base. I talked to you guys about what supplements I was on. And since then, I figured out some tweaking that I could do to help me. A lot of research. And I think when you're going through IVF, especially in Mexico, you don't really get told, take this vitamin. I mean, other than your natural, we know to take prenatal, right? Upon doing more research, I found someone that had recommended the COQ10, which, I mean, just to touch on that, research I've done, I'm doing this off the top of my head. If I state anything incorrectly, I'll put the correction up. But COQ10 in our early 20s or as young women, we develop a ton of it. And that's what helps us to get pregnant. By the time we're older, twice that age, COQ10, you're developing now at 25% what you did 100% as a 20-year-old. So this is why we need the COQ10. What does the COQ10 do? It helps develop that stronger egg. I was taking the COQ10 and I was doing 100 milligrams. And then I found, because of course, if you're like me, you surf the web and you kind of find all kinds of stuff online. So I read a girl that of course had a positive outcome. So I wanted to do what she was doing. And I said, let me see what the doctors are recommended to her, because the doctors in the US do recommend certain supplements that you can do. Perfect, because I think I need to, figure out exactly what to take and what's maybe not necessary. So I'm going to revise what I'm taking, including how many milligrams. I'm doing my prenatal. It's just a 90 count, 1 a day prenatal. Vitamin C. This is 500. I'm taking 2 of these. I'm taking 1,000 milligrams. Raspberry, red leaves. This is recommended by the midwife. COQ10, 100 milligrams. I'm taking 10 of these. Yeah, this I feel is like one of the key things. I'm just going to say that again. This is one of the key things you want to be taking. I saw that they come in different, at different health supply stores. I buy them at Walmart. You get a double pack for like under $15. 60 tabs in here, so this will only last me 6 days. So until I do my retrieval, 10 a day of this, the most important as far as I'm concerned. I'm also doing fish flax and borage oil with omega-3, 6, and 9. I had bought this supplement as a recommendation from a friend, and I think now I only needed the omega-3. They're recommending 1,000 milligrams, and this one has 800. So I'm not going to go buy an omega-3. I'm just going to take 1 a day. of this one, even though it has that extra ingredients in there. I decided I'm not going to drive myself crazy because honestly, you can do everything perfect and still not get pregnant. I'm not going to stress myself out. I am going to inform myself, but I'm not going to go crazy. I've read several that say that this has been kind of their key. Another girl was just taking this with a prenatal positive. The one I read about was that regimen that I'm doing with a positive. So I want my big fat positive too. I've found several people that have done it. I found them in my group, several people that are doing it. Now, some people tell me they take 100 milligrams. Some people tell me 200. And then the person I saw online that takes 1,000. I'm going to tell y'all, if I'm going to go overboard on anything, it's COQ10 after my research. So maybe research it yourself if you'd like and read about it and learn what it's for and the development of our eggs, which is my problem. So the stronger the egg, the better the quality of your embryo. The better the quality of your embryo, the more the success rate. Another thing I read, this was in the group as well. One of the girls had done 4 IVF cycles and she had 2 pregnancies. One daughter was about 2 and she's pregnant about 25 weeks right now. She said the first time she wasn't successful, the second time she was. And she said that the doctor told her that on Sizin, the first time, it's a 50-50 chance that it'll help. And then the second time, it's more than likely that you will get pregnant. So as you guys know, I took Sizin before, but I kind of stopped and didn't do any further treatment because my dad was so sick, etc. So I had done Sizin before. I never did a cycle afterwards. So I'm hoping that because I did do Sizin before and it's somewhere in my system and it did whatever it's supposed to do, that the second time I'm doing it around, it might count for that second time, you know, without the whole cycle, but maybe it'll help. Who knows? I wanted to make a comment because I know every one of us is different. Now for me, the worst part of IVF is not injecting myself. And that is saying a lot because if you've gone through this and you know how many shots we give ourselves, or receive. We also know that the progesterone to me is the worst shot, the progesterone after your retrieval and on for the first trimester. For me, the worst is taking horse pills and these supplements. These supplements, I gag every time. So to me, I'd rather inject myself. I wish there was a cocktail of these supplements. And that way I didn't have to take them. I would inject them into myself. But another thing I noticed with myself, I've had a lot more problems with my reflex. And I did Google it and there was some research that found, I mean, obviously they need to do more research. But I'll tell you what, since I started my Sizin, I noticed that my reflex has just flared up. So I don't know if you guys have that problem or any comment on that. So I'm just really going to be changing my diet here soon to not include a lot of foods that agitate my reflex. Also, I wondered what you guys were thinking as far as your treatments, because every one of us has a limit to how far we're willing to go for it, how many times we're willing to try, etc. Or even, you know, we're limited to funds, we're limited to time. You know, we're on a time crunch to move to Nashville. That is our biggest thing. But how many times am I willing to try it this time? I honestly can't answer that. I just think it depends as you go in the process. I don't know if you've done it. Maybe you can share with me what you chose to do in your case. But personally, I still don't know where my limit is. And financially too. I mean, let's be honest. We don't have a little wealth well to be pulling from. It's just going to depend on how I feel as we go forward. And an update on my father-in-law. He's finally gone home. He was hospitalized almost 3 weeks. He was rushed to the hospital again last night. He's being discharged now, heading back home. But it's still, keep him in your prayers as we're going through this. My husband's spending Thanksgiving with his family, which I completely understand. So hopefully I'll spend Thanksgiving here with the family. My husband will be able to be there to be support to the family. And yeah, so I'll do my next update whenever I'm maybe started or after I go to my first visit. And I also wanted to say I'm going to do turmeric to help induce my period. I think I was reading online for like home remedies of induction of your periods because mine's taking so long. I thought, oh hell, if this happens like it did with the last few cycles I've had, I'm never going to start my IVF. So I was reading online about turmeric. So I'll put the directions up here. I'll try it and then I'll tell you how my outcome was. Thank you guys for watching and joining me on our journey because it's officially started.